Hello everyone. Welcome to another evening of mini numerology readings with Lindsay Knight. Today is Friday, September the 17th, or is it the 16th?
I have no clue. I think
With
it's
this
the 16th.
COVID thing, I'm having troubles keeping track of things these days.
Oops.
So, I'm hearing myself. Welcome, Jackie. Thank you for watching and joining in. We're just going to wait for a little bit until some more people jump in. Looks like we're up to about 6 now. Joanne, welcome. Thank you for coming in. Just to introduce myself, I'm Lloyd Woods. I'm with the Ninth Vibration, and we're doing these mini readings from the Ninth Vibration, actually from our home, but it's on behalf of the Ninth Vibration. We're here with Lindsay Knight, and she is the star reader of the evening. And
A star reader.
well, I gotta say something a little different. Hey, Samia. Yeah, today has been an interesting day. We have been watching the Premier Ford doing his announcement, and if you have not been tuning into that, there are some further restrictions being put into place. So we have to change the way the store is operating. So as of tomorrow morning, the store is officially closed due to the COVID health thing. So we just hope that everybody is able to stay safe and honor the stay-at-home rules and not going out and visiting people and stuff like that. We really want to make sure that everybody stays safe, healthy, and let's see if we can nip this thing in the butt and get back to work and get back to having some fun at the store. That's the way I look at it anyways, but I'm a little biased. If you are looking for a reading tonight, please text your name and phone number to 226-750-6534, and we'll do our best to make sure that you get onto the list. I do respond to every single text that I get. In the past, I have had some people say that they've texted me, but I had not seen anything come through. So in some cases, it looks like the universe is guiding us to go to the right people. So we just kind of have to sit back and honor that. I don't think there's any more announcements that I have to make.
Any proposals at all?
Any proposals? Well, we're going to have to wait until we can actually have a party. We can't get hitched without having some sort of party and have a celebration, and looks like we could have a party of 3 as long as they're in the same household. So that's you, me, and the dogs. So anyways, thank you very much for joining in, everybody. It looks like we have about 20 people joining in, so I am going to pass this over to Lindsay.
Yes. Thank you very much, Lloyd.
You're welcome.
Hello, kids. It's Lindsay. I had to get new glasses. I couldn't see anything before. It was all just feeling it. It was all just guesswork. This is for you, my darling.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about imprints, okay? So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be working with imprints, and just so you know, what that means is for me, and this is all sort of how I view, it's my feeling about past life, and I'm all about past life. I believe when the physical body dies, that the spirit leaves and takes the imprint of the soul with it, and honors every moment, every single moment. And then when the spirit comes back into another physical body, there are experiences or times where that imprint will be activated. For instance, like when I was nuts, and I was nuts for a little while, Well, probably for longer than I even want to say. But, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I was just full of anxiety. I was full of fear. I was full of all sorts of things. But I always felt like there was something underneath it, that there was something else that was stimulating my response to what was going on in the world. And I knew that I could feel it. And so I'd say to my doctors, you know, I honestly believe that you're not working with the root of what's going on with me. I think you're working with a symptom. The symptom isn't going to free me. The root is going to free me. And that's when I went inside. And what I learned was that I had the imprint of an orphan in my soul before I arrived. And then, as a result of certain traumas in my life where I felt alone, I felt that I was unsupported, I felt rejected, I felt dismissed, those imprints, that imprint would absolutely resurface. And it would promote more of a reaction. And I mean, you know, I'm sure you guys know that I've been working on my past life deck. That's what I'm working with tonight. We're going to be launching it. And when I do launch the deck, I plan to share every imprint, every download of the imprint that I received in the creating of my deck. So tonight what I'm going to be doing is 5 imprints. So these are imprints that are connected with you sometime at this point. And they always change. I mean, you know, we may just be going along just fine and then something surfaces. And I'm all about triggering. I think triggering is probably the most incredible, interesting, fascinating communication of the spirit. So when we're triggered, what we do is we react, which means we draw attention away from our behavior and we're more committed to, you know, what other people are doing, and that keeps us in a state of anxiety. And so I had to stop doing that. I had to go from a reactive state to a non-reactive state. So just so you know, we're going to be working with imprints. So I'm really, 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 really excited. I'm excited. My daughter gave me this shirt. So I'm excited about it. Like, I mean, she's so sweet. And so anyways, we're going to get started. So Lloyd, whenever you're ready, you can shoot me a couple of, a piece of paper or something. I'm going to get myself geared here for calls. And then we're going to rock and roll.
There you go.
Great. I got to get to this part. So we're doing 5 imprints. Like, I have to share this with you, okay? So we had my mother here for a week, and my mom's 99 years old. And it's really difficult. Like, anybody who knows that they watch their parents, you know, become failing and getting old and end of life. I mean, she's literally walking in 2 worlds, and I can see that she's walking in 2 worlds. And it was really interesting because my response, I mean, it was so raw just to see her and witness that and all that stuff. And so in the middle of it all, I did a reading for myself. And the very first card that came up was the DNA card, which is the bones, which is, you know, it can represent end of life. It can represent rebirth of life. It can represent our ancestry. It can represent our history. And it was just so amazing to me. Yeah, it just even connected me more with that card. So yeah, so I was triggered with my DNA and my history. And I was so grateful to have the cards to kind of go, yeah, that makes sense. It completely makes sense. Okay? So, here we go. Thank you, my darling.
You're
You're a
welcome.
sweetie. I'm going to see if I can move this.
Sure.
It's kind of bugging me, the lighting. Can't get the writing. Hi, is this Lisa?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Can you spell your name for me?
You want me to spell my full name?
Just your first name that you use.
Lisa.
Okay? So you understand that you have inside of you, you have what I call the wizard energy, the shapeshifter. What that means is that you're highly intuitive and you have the ability to move in your life through that intuition and scanning of your environment and scanning the people that are around you. Like, does that make sense to you?
100%. 100%.
Okay, and then if you look at your first letter in your name, do you see you show me your spine and then you show me a line? Because you and I share the very first letter, which is the Cornerstone Letter. That right? And so it lets me know that you're a person that knows who you are. You know what you like. You know what you don't like. You know you're a person that has difficulty asking for help. You're there to help everyone else, but that you're a fairly independent person. But if you're a bit stubborn.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, when it comes to your personal power. And then what's really interesting, you and I both share the L and the I. And the I really speaks about independence. It speaks about being able to give but not able to receive. So this year, I want you in the year 2021, I want you to receive more. I want you just to allow yourself to receive more. This is what I love about your name. It's 4 letters, but it's a highly powerful name because your last letter, which is a capstone letter, is an A. And this lets me know that you are connected to higher dimensions. This is angelic communication. And so your soul, as well as your capstone, you have 2 vowels that sort of dominate that energy. So it lets me know that you are here contracted to do the work of the healer. Like, does that make sense to you?
It's what I do every day.
Okay. And so the one thing that's really interesting is because the S is right in the middle of your name, there's no doubt in my mind that you may withhold messages that you receive.
100%.
And I want you to stop doing that. I want you just to trust it.
So hard, Lindsay.
You want to know something? Just do it anyways. You know what the universe does to me? The universe will burn my ears if I withhold some sort of truth. The universe says, okay, if you don't want to speak your truth, Lindsay, then we're going to make your ears go beet red. And so I just put it out there. And I mean, it's where you just trust it. It's where you just allow yourself to come out of your comfort zone, because there's no doubt there's fear of exposure, there's fear of judgment, there's fear of all of that. But you want to know something. At the end of the day, what you bring forward is authentic and true and real, then I guarantee you're just going to grow. Your birth year?
1965.
And your month?
November 21.
Yeah, you want to know something, just do it. 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm telling you. 10, 9, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See,
I'm doing it.
what's really interesting with you is you get caught, like what you need to do before you do any of your work, you need to absolutely empty your mind. You need just to go into a space where you just empty your mind. Like with me, I go and before I do any work, I just go and I go blank. I don't meditate. I don't do any of that. I just go blank. And then what I do is I just allow myself just to not be influenced by anything other than what your energy is going to present to me. And I mean, there's no doubt there's a part of you that definitely has an old soul spirit in you. But then there's this other part of you that believes you have to read 100 books to prove that you know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm glad I don't, because reading is challenging for me.
Right, but I mean like downloading other people's information in order to qualify what you do.
Well, I just started telling people that I'm reading from the 7th dimension.
Yes.
Where there's no words, just absorbing.
Yeah, and so like all I know is that for you, there's definitely this fear of exposure, this fear of judgment. So
100%.
I'm going to draw 5 imprint cards from my deck for you. Okay, just a moment. I'm just going to hone in on your field here. I also want to see what energy you're in. 3, 5. Wow, this is a big year. Something happened last year. What happened last year?
What happened last year? Quite a bit. Like I was a joyous year. Like I had a lot of joy, but there was a lot of like shadow work as well. Dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all I know is that you were ready for it. And so this year, that's where you're shedding. Like our spirit does not bring anything to us unless we're ready for it. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So there's no doubt, and then this would be connected to 2011. So just so you know, 2011 is hooked up with 2020.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to do your 5 imprint cards.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's so nice.
All right, I'm just going to shake them up.
Shake it out.
Shake it up,
Shake
sister.
it out.
Here we go. So
Thank
the
you.
first one, this is the airplane. And so this is where you died from some sort of tragic accident. And so this is all about travel. It's all about, and it can be travel through dimensions. It's where you sort of, like when I talk about the wizard energy, your ability to move and change, and that you move within different dimensions. But this lets me know that something would have happened. Either you were in the war as a soldier, flying a plane, or that you died as a result in a plane. And so just so you know that there would be something connected to that. Okay. Let me do another card. This lets me know this is the secrecy card. And so this really speaks about either you were shamed in silence, or you were shamed in judgment, or where you withheld your truth, or where you weren't allowed to really speak your truth. So if you have difficulty speaking your truth or communicating how you feel, I guarantee it's old and that this has followed you for some lifetimes.
Okay.
So just so you know, it's where, if we have been silenced, if we have been oppressed, if we were told not to say anything, then in this lifetime, we may struggle and feel that we don't have the right to speak. So I want you just to know that there's something connected with your silence from a past life. Yeah, okay, hang on, I'm going to give you a couple more cards, just a sec. Here comes another one. This is a scream, and this lets me know that there is a frustration inside of you, and this can be where you feel like you had no power, your power was taken away, or you would it's like a frustration. It's like where you hold a scream that is quite controlled and unexpressed grief or anger, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it makes 100% sense.
And it's kind of old. Okay, let me do another. This is the energy of dread. So this lets me know in a past life something would have happened where you would have just felt in this lifetime that you have to be prepared. So it's where you're 10 steps ahead of any given situation, and it's not that you're negative, it's just that your soul feels that you have to prepare yourself for whatever may be coming, if that makes sense.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and so if you think about it, if you're 10 steps ahead of any experience, think about what you miss in the present. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
And then this is your last imprint. So this lets me know that if in fact you had a trauma early in your life that had an impact on you in the present, I guarantee that you came with that imprint in this life. So if you came from a home where you didn't feel appreciated, or you didn't feel loved, or you didn't feel supported, or there was a divorce or separation or conflict or any of that, that in fact that you had come from a home very similarly in a past life. And as a result, it would mean that your environment for your children, if you have children, is really, really important. It's almost as if you overcompensate for that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hang on. Wow. Lindsay, that was incredible. Thank you so much for your generosity. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. And just remember, just clear your mind. Don't get stuck in your head. Don't worry about anything, because you're a visionary. You're a visionary and a channeler. So yeah, thank you so much. Okay, love.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, boy.
Bye. Found my dinger.
Oh, you have the other dingers in there.
I lost my other dinger.
Your dinger's in the drawer. Okay, let me shuffle these up a bit.
Okay.
Okay, my love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sweet, sweet. Go to number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. I'm going to use the back of the paper.
Yeah, that's a guy.
I guess I have to. I don't know. I'm getting all lost. Okay.
All
Here
excited.
we go. Yeah, maybe.
New glasses.
Yeah, new glasses. I can see the world. Okay, I can see your writing.
Can you read it any better?
I can. Thank you, my love.
Hello.
Hi, is this Mark?
This is Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you, Lindsay?
I'm good, thank you very much. Can you spell your name for me?
M-A-R-K.
Okay. And your birth year?
75.
And your month?
November.
Wow. And your day?
Number 2.
Wow. 5, 6, 7, 8. And so this is the energy of the advocate. For you, it's all about balance. Like, you understand that you have, like, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that with you, that in a past life, you would have spent a lot of your energy in your mind and in the role of leadership. So you would take responsibility very seriously. And as a result of that, because in those lifetimes, you spent a lot of time up in your mind and up in this area, that for you, being in your emotional body in this lifetime at times can be very challenging. Would you agree?
Yes, very much so.
And that there's a part of you that, although you're extremely emotional and you're you're an old soul, there's a part of you that just doesn't know, like when you get upset, you know, when you get triggered, you pull away. And part of it is because there's a language, like you're not sure of the language to use in order to communicate how you feel. So you pull your energy in. Like,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, Lindsay, yeah.
Okay, so who comes after you when you're in that space? When you
You mean
withdraw.
after I get triggered? Or?
Yeah, when you withdraw and you get quiet, who comes after you? Who even notices?
Yeah. I'm not even sure.
Like, isn't that a great question?
Yeah, it's a really great question.
And I mean, because, like, there's no doubt in my mind, because you're a force, like, how you would communicate is just leave me alone. And unfortunately, most people will honor that. And so they leave you alone. And so, and even that in itself. And for sure, I just want to see what vibration you're in this year. 3, wow, this is a big year for you. This is a 9 year. And so this is a year of spiritual kind of evolution. And so there's no doubt in my mind, there's shedding involved, there's healing involved. It's where you get to grow more. It's where you get to communicate more. And this would be connected to, just 1 second, 2012. So just so you know, 2012 hooks up with this year, okay?
Okay.
If that makes sense to you.
It does.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 9 years, 9 lessons, and then we shift. So for you, from 2012 to 2021, I want you to think about what 9 lessons you've learned from that period of growth. And this year is a huge year of spiritual kind of breakthrough, and it's where next year it's where you're ready to shed something. It's where you're ready to let stuff go. And so it's really a powerful year. Let me do your 5 imprints, okay? I'm just going to see, and with you, it's interesting too, because there would be a real big connection. You would have some sort of contract connected with the Father. So, like, you know, and there definitely would be where you would absorb his energy as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle and I'm going to see your 5 imprints. Here's the first one. This is the shapeshifter. And when I did the download for this card, this really is about really presenting, like you have the great ability to be able to change according to who is in front of you. That you're highly intuitive, you feel their energy, you feel if they like you feel if they don't like you, and as a result you shift. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, and not only that, is that you're really good at sort of deflecting how you feel. So, you know, you may be wounded, but no one would really know because you have the ability to kind of move through that emotion and not really show yourself in that regard. And have you ever wondered why you do that?
Why I deflect or...
Yeah, why you deflect and why you shift and why you change and why you become what you think people want you to be. Like, have you ever questioned why you do that?
Oh, yeah.
So do you have an answer?
I've done a fairly deep dive, I would say. And like this year, it just seems like there's things that do continually come up, and it seems to tie into certain patterns of behavior that, like I do feel the wounds are still there, but it comes up in different capacities, I guess. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to tie that back to, you know, I feel certain wounds, you know, like I'll feel somebody that reminds me exactly of my father, for example, and so the way I might react to that is in a way which I wanted to with my father, for example,
Right.
when he was alive, something like that, you know.
But what's really interesting is I believe it is a complete distraction because there's something inside of you that is afraid of intimacy.
Right.
And I'm not talking about sexual intimacy. I'm talking about emotional and spiritual intimacy. And so there's a part of you that definitely doesn't want someone to question you or doesn't want to confront you. You know what I mean? And yet then there's this other spirit inside of you that really needs that. You know what I'm saying? That really needs somebody, you know, like I'm a pretty direct person, you know, and perhaps, you know, my questioning of you might make you a bit uncomfortable, but you know what? It's good for you. It's good for your spirit to consider
I
that.
appreciate that approach from you because I like that. I like to be called out.
Yeah,
You know?
well, it's even more about being called out. It's more about you really looking at why you do it. And you may think it's for this, and really it's just because even though your soul so desperately wants this beautiful, intimate connection, there's a part of you that it's quite foreign. And so just do it more. Like, just do it more. That's what I always say. Let me give you another imprint card. And so just so you know, okay, the next card you have is the dove, and I love this card. When I did the download for this card, I literally woke up and I was in the body of this bird. And I could see like everything, and I was soaring above everything, and I could see everything that was going on. I could see what was happening in the world. I could see a lot of the abuse, and I could see war, and I could see what people had done to each other. And so for me, this card really speaks about the messenger. The dove for me is really a messenger of light, and so it's a channeler of light. So it lets me know that communication for you is very, very important, and that connection and having that closeness and feeling that kind of spiritual energy through communication. And it's acceptance, love, non-judgment, peace, all of that stuff, if that makes sense to you.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing too is like whenever the dove shows up on the table, I always know that there's always signs. And you know, like after my dad died, I swear to God, my dad visited me and in the body of a blue jay. Like, it was just the strangest thing. Like this blue jay would come right onto our windowsill and kind of look into the house. And I was going, wow, like that, you know, like, I mean, he wasn't scared or anything. And it was just sort of wild. And there was a family of them. And then all of a sudden, we just haven't seen them as much as they were at one time. They just gathered in our backyard. And so for you, there would be messages, whether it's through signs, whether it's through animals, through whatever. I want you to be very mindful of the signs, okay? The next card that you have, that this imprint of persecution. So this lets me know that there's no doubt in my mind in a past life, in fact, you were a person that had great authority and that you were persecuted. You may have been tortured in war. You may have been tortured and captured. And that for you, it was almost as if in order to endure that, you had to shut off emotionally. And because there's no doubt in my mind that you would have protected that, and you would have somehow had to come away from that, and that you somehow got away with that, but there's a part of your soul that is definitely afraid of persecution. And so that's an imprint that you carry at this time as well. The next one, betrayal. So this really is about resentment, betrayal, anyone who's harmed you, being able to heal that wounding, heal that betraying. So I mean, it almost feels as if, you know, and you'd be able to look at that imprint in terms of who has harmed you, or who do you believe has harmed you, and what did they do? And it's not just the act. It's also when, you know, something happened to you, who was there for you, who showed up, who didn't show up. Like, so that's an imprint for you. And I mean, the one thing about kind of not like resentment or betrayal, it's just that it just messes with your trust. And so there may be a belief inside of you that people in their relationship with you is quite temporary, that you don't really attach to people, or that you have an untrusting heart, or you believe that sooner or later they're going to screw you over. So just so you know, that's an imprint that's inside of you at this time as well. I'm going with your last card, and I love this card. This is the Guardian. This lets me know that you're very sensitive to other people's suffering, and that in a past life that you walked beside people that were dying, or they were ill, or they felt very neglected. And your job as the contract in that lifetime was to walk beside them, not to take on their issue, not to try and save them, but just to walk beside them, and as a sort of like this guide, and knowing that that they're never alone. There were a couple of times in that lifetime where you would have absorbed and you couldn't even help it, so you'd step in and try to save. And so those people would definitely fail the shamanic test because you just couldn't help yourself. You just tried to save them. And so in this lifetime, it's for you not to be very mindful of absorbing other people's suffering, because there's a belief inside of you that their suffering causes them harm, so you want to end their suffering. So this is another imprint that you can look at, like how do you respond to the people that are hurt around you, whether it's one of your parents, whether it's one of your children, whether it's a lover, whether it's your partner, whether it's a friend. And so it's like really being able to look at that. And I mean, the other thing that I really love about this card, it's a complicated card, in fact, that there is a guardian that has walked beside you. And so this would be someone who has passed in this life, who has never left your side as well. So those are your 5 imprints. So one is really about the shapeshifter, the wizard, the one that has the ability to change. I don't want you to change. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to change according to what's going on around me. I'm going to stay very present in my own experience. The dove, again, about compassion, communication, just having this beautiful angelic energy inside of you. The threat of persecution, judgment, torture, all of that, abuse, neglect, resentment, and then the guardian. Does that resonate with you?
It sure does, Lindsay.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's why in this year, in 9, you have an opportunity to really sort of look at where you can work underneath it. Because most people will focus in on the trauma. And to me, it's never about the trauma. We've spent years working through the trauma. For me, it's the stuff all around the trauma that needed my care. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Are you meaning like how you're reacting to certain situations, or?
No, just doing the work. Like I had something very traumatic happen to me, and so as a result, like wherever I went, everybody was focusing on that trauma. But the trauma itself isn't what wounded me. It was the fact that, nobody saw that I was dying. Like nobody saw that I didn't want to be here anymore. Nobody even saw when I went from an A student to a D student that there was trouble. Like nobody confronted that. And so that's why I sort of bring what I bring. It's like I'm going to confront you on it, so you're not alone, right? So yeah. So just gives you, and you can look at the feedback, but there's, sort of look at the replay, but like no doubt in my mind, those are some of the issues, the imprints at this time, that there is medicine within those files that will help liberate and free you. Because it's not just your behavior, Mark, it's more about your response. It's like it goes from a reactive kind of energy to non-reactive, and being able to understand, wow, like right now my spirit is just letting me know that I'm triggered, and it's old, and it's connected to this, and it's connected to this. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyways, you'll have to keep us posted.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you take good care.
You too. I can't thank you enough.
Now you're most welcome. Bye, love. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, interesting, eh? Like, I mean, he's very armored. Like, there's armoring around him. And so he came into this life with that armoring. And so, no doubt that he would have issue with emotion, right? In this life, right? It's not that he's afraid of it or anything like that. So,
Especially
just
if he was
very, very
tortured.
cool. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, my love. Oh my gosh, there's lots of people on the list. We're going to do an all-nighter.
We'll work you to the bone.
Yes. Fergus is sitting beside me. Hello, Fergus,
Yep.
my beautiful little
Just to
sweetie.
let everybody know, that was not me breathing heavy.
That's
That was
Fergus.
the dog.
Hi, is this Annette?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Annette. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Can you spell your name for me?
Annette.
And you understand that in terms of energy, in terms of emotion, in terms of your response to the world, that you have like heightened senses.
Yes.
So when anything happens, it's like double for you. Like it's like this really double kind of response. And see, what's really neat, this is what I love about your name. Like, look at your name. Like, I could do a reading just on your name. Here's your first letter, which is the Cornerstone Letter. Do you see it's an A?
Yes.
Okay? And an A for me is a bridge letter. So it's like opposing force, and where there's a bridge, where you try to fix it. So it lets me know that you don't like conflict, you don't like confrontation, that if this person isn't talking to this person, that there's something inside of you that feels the need to try and fix that or trying to heal that kind of conflict. And then right beside it, do you see the double N's?
Yes.
Okay? So they go up, like you show me your spine, that it goes down, up, down, up. Like, do you see it? And they're double.
Yes.
So this lets me know that you feed a certain amount of anxiety in your spirit. So if you're not worried about your kids, you might be worried about the job. If you're not worried about your job, you might be worried about something else or this or that. Like, does that make sense to you?
Most definitely.
Yeah, and so what I want you to do is I want you, when you catch yourself doing that, I want you to challenge yourself and say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Because like for you, I believe that it sort of motors you. It gives you the energy to move around in the world. And all I know is there's no doubt in my mind that you want to change that. Like, would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you have an E, which is your soul energy. And this I call is the mind, body, spirit letter. And so it lets me know that there's always another question, that you have a curious mind, that you love to learn, that you absorb and observe every little tiny thing that most people overlook, and that you have this real spiritual depth and this really amazing mind. Would you agree?
Yes.
And would you agree that you get stuck in it?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, you know, and then you have a double T, which means that you do it all. Like you just have to do it all. Like you're the person that'll do it. And so I want you to stop doing that as well. So it's like, you know, I want you to stop feeding anxiety. And like, honestly, I love your name. And it's a complicated name. Your birth year?
1968
Okay. And your month?
is October.
And your day?
It's the 7th.
Yeah. Wow. So like with you, there's no doubt in my mind that you have a past life. You understand that there's a part of you that feels emotionally and energetically kind of on the hook, that people know how to press your buttons and that you feel responsible.
Yes.
And that there's something deep inside of you that feels that you have somehow failed, that you know that you have to prove your worth.
Yes.
Okay, and I guarantee it's old, okay? Like, just so you know. I'm going to do your 5 cards. Let me see what vibration you're in this year. 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, this is a great year. This year, what you need to do is you need to do the absolute opposite of what you normally do. Okay? So if you normally, like, whatever it is, I want you to do the absolute opposite. So if you normally, like, let's say if somebody phones you and says, oh, you know, can you take care of my kids for the weekend? And you normally say yes, I want you to say no. Or if you get a phone call and you tend to get all worried and you anxious and you just can't sit down and all that, I want you just to do the opposite. Because last year you planted a seed.
Yes.
Okay? And this means that you're ready to step out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Okay? Like for me, when I started going online, and reading online for people, anybody who does this work, you know that you are, when you're online, there's exposure, there's judgment, there's all this sort of stuff. And I was scared of that. I was really scared of it. But then our score went down, and Lloyd said to me, we've got to remain visible. So you have to go online. I'm going, I don't want to go online. But anyways, as it turned out, of course I did. And all I know is that my intention is pure. I'm here with you. I get you for 15 minutes. And all I'm saying is, even though I was scared to death, all I've done is grow. Our store has grown. I mean, you know, like we get all these beautiful emails. People reach out to us. So even though I was afraid, I still did it. And that's what I want you to do this year.
I'm in the middle of that.
Good. It's perfect. I mean, then it's absolutely perfect, right? So let me do.
Definitely outside my comfort zone.
Good for you, you know, and trust me, when you planted the seed last year, that's what you planted. So I'm going to give you your 5 imprint cards, okay?
Okay.
The first card that comes up, this is the card of gifted. So this lets me know that you're very blessed and you're very gifted and you're highly intuitive and that you're here to inspire and promote and all that sort of stuff. There's no doubt there's also this side of you that only sees the light. Like you only see the goodness in people, or you only see the potential of who they can be. And what I want you to do is I want you to look more closely, because like people are more complex than just the version that they may present to you. And so often when I look at the gifted, they just see, like, they're the ones that believe that they have to bring all the light to the room. And so as a result of that, they don't feel that their emotion, they have the right to be angry, or they have the right to be sad, or they have the right to do any of those things, because they believe that they're responsible for bringing the light and the joy to the people in their life. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, and you want to know something? That can be really lovely, but it can also be incredibly draining. I mean, there's more to you. There's more to you than just being a cheerleader. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Oh, good. Okay, let me see. I'm going to give you another one. This lets me know the arts. So this lets me know, like, music, creativity, that even music has the ability to stir you. I mean, it's like having this kind of like that whole energy with sound healing, working with sound, working with music as a poet, a person that appreciates the arts. Like, does that make sense to you?
Oh, it sure does.
Oh, it's like music. I mean, like, trust me,
Music, definitely.
Yes.
Music, it just makes me move. Like, it makes me feel good. It makes me, come alive.
Yeah, and there's no doubt in my mind that you brought that forward, like from a past life, that it's inside of you, and that even singing or chanting or any of that sort of stuff would be really good for your soul. Okay, let me see. I'm going to give you another couple cards. Hang on. This is the card of liberation. So this lets me know in a past life, you were enslaved in some way. You may have been a slave. You may have been under the power of someone else. You may have been controlled by someone else, and that there was a part of you that had to liberate yourself from it. So that lets me know in this lifetime, you don't like to be in the corner, or you don't like it when people take away your power, or you feel like you lose your power, or if you feel that somebody is infringing on your power. Like, does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's really like,
Definitely.
I mean, for you, commitment is a hard thing, because it's like, well, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? So it's just interesting for you to be able to say, like, for you, you want to be liberated. Freedom for you is a very, very important thing in how you move in the world and all of that. So if you feel that, and that's what I find is interesting with you, because there's a weight that's connected with you, and yet there's this other side that your spirit just needs to be free, so you can just do whatever you want. And that's what I love about both the gifted card and the liberated card. Okay, I'm going to give you another one. Here, this is a soldier. So this lets me know that there's no doubt in my mind in a past life that you were in the body of a soldier. And you'll have to watch when I do the downloads, like the explanation of the downloads, because this download for me was probably one of the most emotional. And I woke up in the body of a soldier, and all I knew is that there was soldiers dead around me, that there were soldiers dying around me, and I just felt completely like I had failed them. So, because I had a certain amount of authority. So there's no doubt there's an imprint inside of you that feels that you have to save, that you have to fix everybody, that you feel responsible, that you can't give up. And so, like, that's an imprint that you have an opportunity to kind of look at, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, I feel like I need to fix everything.
I know, and it's not just people. It's like if you see a stray dog, like, you couldn't even go into the Humane Society if you tried, because it would just haunt you. So I mean, like, there's no doubt there's the imprint of the soldier inside of you as well. Here's your next card. This is the inventor card. So it lets me know that you're, like, you look normal, but you're not normal type of girl. Like, it's like you have this brilliant mind, you have this creative, ideas, and that you see things in very different dimension, that you don't see the world the same way as other people see it, that you have a very original perspective, and that you have so much to offer, and that you're a teacher and you're a visionary. So, I mean, and this is something that, like, I guarantee that you have the ability to scan people, or you can see underneath things. And so, like, just so you know, these are your 5 imprints. Gifted, which is really the person that believes that they have to bring in all of the light. Then the arts, which is no doubt that music for you is a way of healing. Whether you work with healing bowls, or you work with tinctures, or you work with tuning forks, or you work with music and sound, that liberation for you is huge. Soldier, and then the inventor, like this creative, beautiful visionary.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool, eh?
Wow. That is very cool.
Yeah, and so, like, there's no doubt in my mind that what you're really sort of working towards is trying to really figure out your life purpose and what your life gifts are. And you're coming into that next year, like, big time. But I'm here to say, for you, I want you, like, you work with the energy of light. And so it's like, there is no limit. Like, there is no limit. So I want you just to know, like, it's something for you to sort of look at, and I'm glad that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Do it all this year. Next year, you're going to come more into your spiritual truth, and you're going to collect more of the keys that you've been looking for in terms of sort of promoting more of your work. Okay?
Yes,
Well,
that is fantastic.
thank you so much, Annette, for texting in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Bye, love.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Yeah, very, very cool. How's it going, Lloyd?
Excellent.
I love how Fergus is sitting right by my feet. I need to have a drink. I can't believe it, Lloyd. I can see everything. Okay. keep
I'm
it to me,
jealous
baby.
that he's sleeping.
I know, he's so sweet. Okay. Now we're going here. Okay, gotta double check. Right on, perfect. Excellent. Here you go, my love.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
This is Lindsay. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Can you spell your name for me?
Joanne.
Okay. And see, what's really interesting with your first name, if you look at do you see your Cornerstone letter, your first letter of your name? Do you see how it's J?
Yeah.
And do you see how it looks like a little hook?
Yeah.
Do you see that? And so this lets me know that you're highly, like most people that have a J in the front of their name are people that are highly intuitive, very sensitive, overly compassionate. I mean, they feel life and they have great empathy for other people, but often they just feel on the hook or they feel responsible early in their life. And then what's really interesting, if you look at your soul essence letter, and this is the O, this lets me know that whatever that is, that you're a deeply spiritual person because you have 3 vowels in your name. One is that you absolutely, like fullness for you is huge. Like you don't want just empty relationships. You want relationships where you feel that there's an intimacy, a connection. Also, there's a bridge energy in you. So this lets me know that you're a healer. And then your last letter, which is a capstone letter, which also ends in a vowel, lets me know that you have the mind, body, spirit letter, which is really speaks about like depth, like that you question things and that you have this curiosity and you have this beautiful energy and that you're here to help save people. Like, does that make sense to you?
Oh, very much so.
Okay. Could you please give me your birth year?
1970.
Okay. And your month?
December
And your day?
10th.
Wow. And so, and it almost feels like with you, because the fact that you have the ability not only to predict things, but you feel things, you can sense things. And I call you, it's like the seed energy. So when you have the seed energy inside of you, not only are you a teacher, but you're here to inspire and promote kind of teachings. Like there's a part of you that wants to share those teachings and that you're a mentor. And so just so you know, like highly intuitive, that you have the ability to scan people and that you have the ability to sort of just read them just by looking at them. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yes, it does.
Okay. Let me just see what vibration you're in, and then I'm going to do your... Wow, this is a big year for you. Hang on one sec, okay? So 2012, from 2012 to 2021, that is kind of your path. So you will have learned some very important like lessons about yourself in the last 9 years. And this year for you really is where you're bringing yourself into a newer vibration. Last year would be a very restorative year. So just so you know that there's maybe loss this year. There may be changes, there may be endings of relationships, but the birthing of relationships. So it's really kind of a renewal year. It's a shedding year. Like, does that make sense to you?
It does.
Yeah? Okay, let's do your 5 cards. Very, very cool. And so these are your 5 imprints.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to shake them up good. Okay, here's the first one. This is past life. So this lets me know that you're an old soul. And so if you were to look at your response to certain things that happen in your life, that I guarantee that probably 40% of your reaction is absolutely rooted in a past life trauma that you have never recovered from. So you are an old soul, and you're a person, like, you understand that you're an old soul.
Yes, I do.
Okay? And like when you get upset or when something is triggered inside of you, that it just feels like it comes from deep inside of you and it comes up. Like, would you agree?
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Okay? And so, like, just so you know, and that's one thing, like, I mean, Lloyd and I were talking about and like really identifying past life themes or who you were at that time. I mean, that's a whole different thing. Like, this is just the imprints that are around you at this time. So our past life can be our immediate past life, which is what happened to us 2 years ago, what happened to us 3 weeks ago, what happened to us 20 years ago. But there's also the past life that we have brought forward, that imprint. So for instance, with me, I know that I brought the imprint of an orphaned person in a past life. So when I was wounded in this life, it just was devastating to me. Like, it was just devastating to me. And so it's like being able to say, like, if I can heal the past life wounding, if I could heal that, will it help release what was going on? And this is an important card. Like, let me share with you. There was a time where I was absolutely, like, just obsessed with my daughter. I had this fear that something was going to happen to her. And her and I, like, there's no doubt, like, I mean, she's my only child and all that sort of stuff. And then I actually did the account. Like, I found out exactly what lifetime her and I shared. And in that lifetime, she in fact was my son. And she was knifed and killed to death on a pier, trying to protect this dog. Like, there was this man and he was abusing this dog, and she stepped in. She was a male at the time, and he stabbed and killed her. And it just, as soon as I connected that experience, then it helped me to understand why I had this unwarranted fear that something horrible was going to happen to my daughter. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And then once I was able to kind of work through that and realize, going, wow, like, that's a wild, like, don't get me wrong, you'll always worry about your children, but that fear is just not as pronounced. And so now I can love her, not just be afraid for her. Like, do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So for you, no doubt, like, I want you to look at what triggers you, what language you have when you're triggered, like, nobody loves me, or nobody wants me, or nobody gets me, or I don't belong, or whatever that is. And I guarantee that whatever it is, that communication you're saying is hooked to a past life. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me give you here. This is also the artist, very creative. So for you, color is a big thing. The color that you have around your life is very important. The color that you have in your bedroom before you sleep is very important. Creative, you have the ability to do all sorts of things, that you love to see things grow, that you just have this creative energy inside of you. Like, does that make sense?
It does.
The energy of the artist. So you see the beauty in everything, and you see the creativity in everything. Like, you're the type of person that might find something, that's all beat up, and you bring it home and you turn it into something beautiful. I mean, that's the kind of energy, that's an imprint that you have. Part of it comes from just your creativity. Part of it is just being able to see how the birthing of something new that really stimulates you, which is very, very cool. I love that card.
Very cool.
This one here, number 2, love, this lets me know that you are highly, highly intuitive, and that this intuition is old, it's inside of you, and your whole energy in this lifetime is to access it and to know that it's there and to trust it. Not to go outside, not to learn from a book, not to learn from somebody else. It's where you access it. Like, if you look at this card, she's just so beautiful. and it's an introspection. And so, you know, just depending, I don't know if you read cards. If you don't, you should. But even just before you do the reading, it's where you literally just kind of go inside, tap into your knowledge. This knowledge is old, connect with it, and then bring it forward. Like it's almost as though you have the ability to channel this knowledge that's inside of you. And so that definitely is like a channeler card. It's the intuitive card, the empath. Your next card, look at this, record keeper. So this lets me know that you're a person that absolutely is a record keeper. Like, does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so in a past life, you could have been a scribe. So things that happen, like you have memory of the importance of it. In some ways, you may have records that you carry around, which means that you might feel a bit like a weight and responsibility. So one thing I definitely would do is look at your wounds. Wherever there's a wound, there usually is a file. If you can find the file, then you scan and find it where it is in your body. And then you scan the actual file, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then it's like you understand when I say that you have files that you carry.
Yeah.
Okay? And so
Yeah.
like what, and if I were to ask you, what is the purpose of you carrying the file?
Oh, geez, I would have to think about that.
Yeah, because there has to be a reason that you carry them. And with you, I guarantee they're not like all scattered all over the place like mine were. Like mine were all over the place. With you,
Yeah.
they're all lined up. You know exactly where they are. There's a part of you that doesn't want to go to the file. There's a part of you that tacks the file away and says, no, I'm not going there because it's uncomfortable for me. And so that's one thing I want you to really look at. So the imprint is that you may absorb your emotions, you may absorb your injuries, and that you just don't want to go there. So I'd rather just carry it. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Here's your last imprint card. Like, I just love this. This is so much fun. This is an armoring. So this lets me know that there's a part of you that definitely has an armoring. And so what an armoring does is in some ways we call upon it. It could be a guardian that we've called. And I mean, just depending on where you feel it. If you were triggered, you may feel that this armor comes up, or if something is said and you can feel, it just comes right up. It's a defense. And so there's no doubt that in a past life you were a soldier. It's quite possible that you experienced a very difficult trauma, and so that you just numbed yourself out through the energy of armoring. So that's another thing that you can look at. So you have the imprint of the past life, which lets me know you're an old soul. So whatever you're responding to, I guarantee when you respond to a current thing, that the old imprint from a past life is activated. You're definitely the muse or creativity, the empath or the channeler, the record keeper, and the soldier or the armor. So those are some of the things I want you just to consider at this time, that you have an ability to sort of look and reconsider.
I will, for sure.
Yeah. Good?
That's great. Thank you, Lindsay, so much.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And this is a big year for you. This is a really big year for you. And next year it's like you're just shedding. And so it's like, can you imagine if you could offload some of those files, that you would make room for new growth in your life?
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
Yeah. So, and that's why it's like, you know, no doubt in my mind, that's where you're headed. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Bye,
Take
love.
care.
Okay, you
Bye.
too. Bye-bye. How am I doing, Lloyd?
Good.
Thanks, man.
Doing real good.
Am I staying on time?
Mm-hmm.
Am I?
Kind of.
Kind of, sort of.
Leslie
like doing
says
this.
hi.
What's that?
Leslie says hi.
My sister?
Yeah.
Aw.
You're so beautiful.
Aw, sweetie. Okay, I say hi to my sister. Okay. Thank you, Lloyd.
You're welcome.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Is this Tina?
Yeah?
Hi, Tina. Can you spell your name for me?
Tina.
Okay. And so for you, like you understand that there's a bit of you that's like a bit of a control freak.
Mm-hmm.
And that you know, no doubt in my mind that you're a perfectionist, that when you do something, like you do it all, like you've got it all lined up.
Yeah?
And that you're a person that's very independent and you're very self-directed and self-motivated. And for you, like you don't lean on anybody.
Yeah.
And see, like that's what's really interesting, like that you're a very generous person, you give of yourself, but it's hard for you to receive.
Yeah.
And so like all I want you to do is just receive more. You know what I mean? Like just allow yourself to receive more. And then your last letter, which is the capstone letter, this is all about the angelic energy of the bridge. So it lets me know that you don't like conflict, you don't like any of that confrontation, that you're a person that definitely likes things when they're resolved. You don't like things hanging over your head, that sort of thing. Like, does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay. And your birth year?
1972,
Okay. And your month?
September
And your day?
2nd.
Wow. Wow. So like you understand that you have an old soul.
Yeah.
And that for you, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that for you, there has a certain depth. And like if you were to look at your mother and father, if you were to look at their energy, there's no doubt in my mind that you would have absorbed that very early in your life. Like, does that make sense?
Yes.
And that for you, it's difficult for you to create boundaries. Like you've been contracted to absorb the emotion of other people.
Yes.
Yeah, and what's really amazing is that there's times where you just feel completely overwhelmed. And your life may be absolutely fine. Like your actual life may not have any problems at all. But it's just that you absorb the energy of other people. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that would be true.
Yeah, and this year for you is a good year of shedding. It's where you get to move forward. Last year would have been an emotional year, or something would have opened up your emotional center. Like, does that make sense?
Sure. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes.
And let me just see. I'm just going to go here. Like it would have been a tough year. Like it's a tough year for all of us because none of us knew what was going on. But you want to know something that's really wild? Like because there was so much uncertainty and nobody knew and we all felt like we had no power and stuff. Like think about it. We have learned a little bit more just to say, well, you know what? It's going to be whatever it's going to be. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a hard lesson, right? That's a hard lesson, especially if we're doers and we have the ability to make things happen. 2013 would be connected with this shedding that's going on with you in this year.
I have to go back in time.
Okay, yeah. Like if you just sort of look back, it would be hooked up to 2013, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and that would be connected to 2004. So it's where you get to shed, like you were trying to restore your balance, and so you're coming into a much higher restorative balance next year. And so this is where you're going to advocate for yourself, or it's where you're going to speak your truth, or you're going to feel more present. You're just going to feel more aware and not as whatever it is that you're recovering from. You're just going to feel more present next year as well, which will be good. But you get to decide what you don't want to do anymore. It's like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And no, I'm not doing that anymore. And no, I'm not going to worry. And no, I'm not going to take on everybody's issues. And so it'd be good for you to sort of look at that for sure. Let me see your imprints. I'm curious. I'm curious to see your imprints this time. I've been using these cards good tonight, so I got to shake them up a lot. Okay, this lets me know this is the I call this the fractured self. So this lets me know that in a past life, that something would have happened in your childhood that would have had a very dramatic impact on you. And so if you were to look at your actual childhood in this life, there would definitely be an impact in terms of trauma. If there was conflict in the family in this lifetime, if there was divorce, if there was any type of alcohol or any neglect or any abuse or any of those things. So this lets me know that there was something that happened early in your childhood that would have impacted you, and it's where you would have, a part of your spirit would have fractured and left a piece of yourself behind. Like, does that make sense to you?
I could say so, sure.
Okay. And so it would just be, there would be a sensitivity. And so, it's about a fracturing that happened early in your life. It can also, when you think about it, it could also just be something that, like just disconnect with your parents, or not feeling loved or not feeling supported. And so there's a wounding inside of you that is old. Then I'm going to give you another card. This lets me know in a past life that you had done something, and this is the card of the sinner. And when I did the download for this card, like, I woke up and it was just exactly that. Like, I just felt like my hands were dirty. So this lets me know in a past life, you may have done something that, and it could be 100 million different things, but that you've come into this life feeling guilty or feeling responsible or feeling like you had done something wrong and feeling like you have to repent or you have to be good. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's so neat, right? Like, it's like, and with you, I guarantee that you wouldn't harm a fly. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, like, and so you think about it, like, I've never done anything really bad. So where is that coming from? Like, where is that coming from? Sometimes we take it from our parents as we're developing inside of them. Sometimes we bring forward an imprint that we had done something in a past life that our soul, we just have not forgiven ourselves for. So we feel like we have to repent or we have to be good because we came in dirty or something. It's a very interesting card.
It's funny, my grandmother once said when I was little, you have a little mischief in you, I haven't figured out, but you've got a little mischief inside you.
Wow, that's it. But it's really interesting, eh? Like, I mean, and it just is interesting to me. The next card, this is all about union. This is about intimacy. This is about community. This is about belonging. I mean, that there's something inside of your soul that definitely likes that connection, that community, or the need of that community. It also speaks about marriage. Like, perhaps something happened, perhaps something you had done something in a marriage in a past life, and that it impacted your child. And so there, if you look at your romantic relationships or your intimate relationships in this life, there may be some issue with commitment or trust or connection or any of that, and so it's like, it's very, very interesting. So far you have 3 really interesting cards, 3 interesting imprints. Next one is liberation. So this lets me know that there's no doubt in a past life that you had to liberate yourself from something, whether it was a state of oppression, whether you felt like you didn't have any power, where you were controlled, but it's where you had to free yourself, where you would have been a slave. So just so you know, it's like for you in this lifetime, you don't like to be, held down or cornered or controlled or told what to do, because there's a part of you definitely that needs to just be free, and you don't want the burden of that responsibility, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very cool. Okay, I'm going to shake up this time just to do your last card, because I just have this weird feeling it's going to be a good card, like it's going to kind of bring it all together. And this really is the messenger. Like when I did the download, you know, it really was being in the body of a bird, and you witness so many things. Like when you think about it, like you see birds that fly above and they look down and they see everything and they're messengers. And this for me, the dove, if you notice, this bird sees the reflection of itself in the card. So it's like really connecting with who you are and being able to have this real sense and this connection through communication and empathy and love and acceptance and all of that. Even in our wounds, you know, like there's no doubt in my mind that there's a part of you that is very comfortable kind of in the company of other people that have been wounded, that you would bring just great comfort, that you're a mentor and that you're a supporter and a nurturer. Like, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yeah, very, very cool. So, I mean, these are the imprints that I want you to think about in this time, being able to, you know, and also like the dove, I mean, often, you know, it's really interesting when you think about communication. Like we've been kind of conditioned to believe that communication is not a good thing, that it's, you know, fighting or whatever. And sometimes as long as you do it right, as long as you do it well, you learn so much about people that you love, you know. And so it's really, they're just very cool. So this is about union, commitment, marriage, community, feeling that need to just feel a sense of community. Also the sinner card, where you feel you have to prove your goodness or prove your worth, or you feel like you've done something bad and you're trying to repent for that. The fractured self, looking at, you know, what trauma, if you've left pieces of yourself behind. Liberation, and the dove, Miss Tina. Lovely.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you for texting in.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, my love.
Nice.
Okay, let me shake up my cards. Jeez, Ferg, does he? He's really.
I just took him outside too.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah.
there's a card. All right, thank you, my love.
Okay.
Carrying on. Bum, 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 bum. Gosh, the time sure flies by when you're having fun.
Sure does.
Okay. Ferg? Gosh. Maybe you can take them out. Like, go on, Ferg, hit it.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
That's good. This is Lindsay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hi. Can you spell your name for me?
Lorraine.
Okay. And your birth year?
The 1955.
Okay. And your month?
July
And your day?
6th.
Wow. Wow, that's very interesting to me because, like, I want to go straight to your imprints. Like, you understand that you're a record keeper, and that you understand that for you, that you have, that there's no doubt that you absorb the emotion of other people, that you're highly sensitive.
What's a record keeper?
A record keeper is a person who is an old soul and absolutely, yeah, take him out. He's just breathing too heavy. Our dog is just making too much noise. He's driving me crazy. So what they are is record keepers are old souls. And so they tend to, there's a couple of things that they may do. They may absorb their emotion and not communicate how they feel. So what they do is, instead of saying, well, I'm upset, what they do is they absorb their emotion and they store that experience or that trauma or that event in a file, and then they do everything in their power not to go to the file. They also have the ability to store like any type of trauma or wound or anything, a betrayal or anything. What they do is they'll hang on to it. They'll hang on to the file, and sometimes they keep the file because they feel the file protects them, or they keep the file because that way they don't, it's like, I don't want to forget, or they keep the file just because they need to feel heavy. So it's really about a record keeper. Like, does that make sense to you?
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of times we'll carry around a weight, and there's a part of us that doesn't want to go there. Like, we may have something that has happened to us, and because it was such a painful event, that we'd rather store the event than actually feel the event, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so for you, I guarantee, I'm just curious, let's do your mother. What is your mother's birth year?
1918.
Okay, and the month?
July.
And the day?
16.
Okay. Yeah, I guarantee that you absorbed. Like, do you know what was going on with your mother when she was pregnant with you?
No.
Okay, let me see. I'm going to check and see if she has a contract with you.
A contract?
Yeah, contract, yeah. 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7, yeah. 10, 8, 9, 21. Yeah, so you, in other words, what the contract is in 1955, your mother was in a 7-year, which means, and this is the same years that when my daughter was born, it's like, well, I was in a restorative year, but when I got pregnant, right? And so it's where your energy or your life was here to somehow save the energy of your mom.
Oh, it's to save her energy?
Yes, like to save her. So in other words, you would have absorbed her emotion. Like, you would be able to look at that, look at your mom, and she would have a difficult time, being able to deal with her emotion. And because you're so intuitive, you would see it, you would feel it, and you would take it from her. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, like comfort her.
Yes, but more importantly, like, you would just be aware of her emotional state.
Oh, okay.
Like, do you know what I mean? You could look at her. If your mom was okay, you were okay. If she wasn't okay, then you weren't okay. So, I mean, and so that's how we translate the definition of love. So, in other words, if you have a partner, you would know whether your partner is happy or if they're not happy. And if they're not happy, then you would try and fix that. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just really interesting. Very sensitive, like, and when you think about it, that's a really beautiful, strong, intuitive gift to be able to look at somebody, and just by looking at them, you know what's going on with them. And that's what I find is so interesting, because if you can do that with your mother, like, do you see how you have the ability to do that with just about anybody that you encounter?
Yeah, when they're having a hard time, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, you're just, very, very intuitive. It's very cool. 13, 14, 3. Wow, this is a big year for you.
Is it?
Yes, it is. And it's a year where you get to, it would be connected, just one sec. It'd be connected to 2012.
Oh, my year's connected to 2012?
Mm-hmm. This year, 2021, is connected to 2012.
Oh, yeah, it's just the opposite from the two last numbers.
Yeah, but no, it's like from 2012 to 2021, there are 9 spiritual lessons that you learned about yourself and what you need. So if you were to look at whatever was going on with you in 2012, and then in this year, it kind of comes full circle. So for me, usually in a 9-year, there may be where you draw a line, or where something ends, or a relationship ends, or there's a renegotiation of contract between other people. And so there definitely is some endings, but at the same time, it kind of comes full circle. Just so you know, it's a very cool year, because there's no doubt that you're trying to let go of something, or trying to kind of generate a new vibration for yourself. Well, it's being able to sort of look at what you've learned about yourself in the last 9 years, and then sort of seeing what you want to change in your life. Like, and for you, that would be also connected to 2003.
Oh, so all these years are connected. 2003, 2012, and this stuff.
Yeah. So it would be like for you, let me do it quickly for you. It would be 2021, 2012, 2003, 1994,
Okay.
1985, so you would have been 30,
Okay.
1976,
Okay.
1967, and 1958.
Yeah, I would have been like 3 years old.
Yeah, you would have been 3 years old. So just so you know that there would have been events that would have happened, because I guarantee that you would just be highly aware of what was going on with your family, and you would absorb that. Like, that's what people say to me all the time. It's like, I just am overwhelmed by other people's emotions, and I just take on all sorts of things. And I'm going, that's what you've always done. So, I mean, and that's why I say to people, it's always just an interesting thing to figure out what was going on when your mother was pregnant with you. I mean, what was going on? Like, did she move? There's some times where there's conflict between the partner, so like, it's just interesting for you to be able to kind of look at that. But let me do your imprints for you, just one sec. Okay. So here's your first imprint. This lets me know in a past life that you would have struggled, like your emotions would have kind of gone up and down, and there would be times where you just wouldn't have been wanted to be here. So it's where you just, and it's not that you're a negative person, but there's no doubt in a past life that you would have you wouldn't have been having a good time, and there'd be a part of you that did not want to be here. So it's where you sort of look at anxiety, or you look at depression, or you look at heaviness, or you feel like, that you sort of just, like you've just struggled. And so this definitely would be linked to a past life. So it could be where, when you get emotional in this life, that emotion is just very, you can really feel it. And so no doubt in my mind, it's where you would have just felt overwhelmed, or where you just couldn't breathe. You couldn't breathe when you're in an emotional state. Okay, it also can represent that something or someone took away your breath. So it could be where you literally just couldn't breathe, or something took away your breath, so it would be hard for you to breathe in this lifetime. Okay, let me just see another imprint. This lets me know that you're very gifted, that you're very loving, that you're a very gentle soul, that you're a very kind soul, that you put other people's feelings and emotions before yourself, that you have the ability, you just want to heal people that are suffering, or you just want to be around people to try and help them get through stuff. And so, but all I'm saying is you're very good at that, but at the same time, it's where you have to consider how you feel as well, if that makes sense.
So it doesn't wear me down.
That it doesn't wear you down, or that you don't get lost in it, because sooner or later, sooner or later you sort of question, like, does any, I'm always doing this for everybody else. I mean, like, what about me? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it would be difficult in that way as well. Let's do another card. This lets me know that there's a shaman inside of you, and this is what that means, is an old soul. So even as a little girl, you're an old soul, and that you're very calm. You could be sitting getting your nails done, and like people would just come up to you and tell them their problems, and they just feel comfortable around you, because that and they just feel that You have a lot to give them in terms of calming them down and making them feel like you're a great leader. You have great compassion. There's no judgment, that sort of thing, if that makes sense to you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let me just see. I'm going to get another one for you. This is a dark story, the hidden self. So the hidden self usually has an agenda. And it's usually something that it can be negative self-talk. It can be where you just feel that you self-sabotage. You may create drama when things are kind of calm. You may feel the need to create some sort of drama. So there's something inside of you, and this is stemmed from a past life. It's the imprint that just has a negative talk, or something that, there's a part of you that is afraid of perhaps your own success, if that makes sense.
I guess so.
Yeah, and it would just be like, it's almost like, it's like, when we think, oh, I really love this, but I don't feel like, I'm deserving of it, or, just that sort of hidden self that sort of takes away our ability to be successful. It can be doubt. It can be where we just feel that we've done something that everything's going to be kind of stripped from us. So just so you know, yeah. And then I'm going to do your last card. And so this is the card of the outcast. So this lets me know that in a past life, you may have lost all your possessions. You may have been abandoned. You may have been rejected. So in this lifetime, you may be very sensitive to any type of dismissal. You may cling to the people that you love. It's where you just feel that you don't want to lose everything, or that there is a definite grip in terms of feeling that you grip onto the people that you love, and that you're very sensitive, like you just don't want to lose anybody, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just depends if you look at how you love, right? If you think about, having this sensitivity to other people, and where you're always kind of taking on their issues, or you're taking on their emotions and all that. It's where you get to really look at, like, why am I doing that? Like, what is motivating that inside of my life? Like, what is going on with that? And so it's really being able to see that. Being able to look at your mother and your father. Like, were you the firstborn? No. What number were you?
8.
Wow. 8.
Remember, she lost them in between us, all of us.
Yeah. And so even that, like, there is not a mother on this planet who has lost a child, that the children don't absorb that loss. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like just appreciating, and that's why I sort of did the energy of your mother, because I believe a lot that goes on with you. It's like my daughter, for Mother's Day one day, she gave me this really cool gift. It was this picture of when my great-grandmother was pregnant with my grandmother. Like, my mother was there, my sisters were there, my daughter was there, my granddaughter was there, because as women, we are born with all of our eggs. And so if you look at the history, but think about it, like, here's your mom had 8 children. Like, how many children did she have in total?
She had 11, but her first marriage, she had another one.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. And so depending, like, if she had lost a child just prior to your birth, then, then you would understand, because you're so empathic and so sensitive, why you would have taken on her loss or her grief. And so that's how we sort of define how love feels in our life. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed your reading.
Okay, then, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow, 11 kids, eh? That's a lot of kids.
That's unheard of now.
It is unheard of now. But yeah, so I mean, that's a lot of kids. I'm gonna shake this hump. See now, Ferd snapped. We love you, Ferd, but gosh. That's funny. We're gonna get it afterwards, Lloyd. We're gonna get it big time.
I think so.
Okay.
He's
Excellent.
a great dog, but he likes to get back.
He does. How's it going, Lloyd?
Good.
Oh. Thank you, my love.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Can you spell your name for me?
Yeah, Heather, Heather.
Okay. And your birth year
1992,
and your month
June
and your day?
6th.
The 5th?
6th.
6th.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Like you understand, like that you're a type of person that like you have heightened senses. Like when you feel something, when you look at the eyes, like let's say if you're looking, anything that you're looking at, whether it's a face of your child or you're looking at a beautiful flower or you see a dead bird on the ground, that for you, everything that you kind of bring into your vision has a huge impact. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
And that you're highly sensitive to it, and that for you, that there's no doubt in my mind that energy comes from the inside out.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
And what I call your energy is the muse. And so the muse is all about creativity, inspiration. They're highly intuitive. They feel everything. They're teachers. They're mentors. They have this ability, to be able to really have a great sense of things. Like you walk into a room, you're absolutely impacted by color. You're absolutely impacted by sound. That things that you see, like when you see something, like you literally can feel the energy off it, and you can feel it. Like you're the type of person that could literally pick up something and go, oh, I don't like the way that feels. You know what I mean? Or you walk into a room and just go, oh, I can feel that something's here. So very much that way, which is just very cool. Let me see. 13.3. Wow, this is a restorative year for you. So what that means is it's a very empowering year. Like when I was in an 8-year, like I wrote a book, we opened our store, I created a deck, I told off a landlord, I paid off my car. I mean, it's just a very empowered year. And last year you would have let go of something. Like what did you let go of last year?
Well, I was in a long-term relationship for about 9 years, and the year before that, I actually broke up with a person because they weren't the right person for me. So I think last year was the year that I kind of released myself from that.
Okay, and so like just so you know, this year is a very restorative year for you. And so 9 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
What is your ex's name? I'm just curious.
David.
Okay, and birth year?
His birth year was 1984.
Okay, and the month?
October.
And the day?
9th.
Okay. See, I needed to do this. You have a soul contract with this person. So in other words, like think about it. Nice person, I could see why you would connect. I mean, people don't just hang out for 9 years for a reason. Like there's you know what I mean? Like there would have been a very much a deep connection, right? But there's no doubt in my mind that he would require, like you would be so aware of his moods.
Yeah.
And that you would, and so when you think about that, depending on his mood, it would change how you moved in the world.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and so there's no doubt in my mind that that's something that you were comfortable with for a long time.
Yeah.
Until you just weren't. Because, I mean, like, there's no doubt in my mind, like, he would be like a wall. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, when he got upset, he would pull away, or there's certain things that he wouldn't talk to you about, or you couldn't really talk about. And so, like, but he would let you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I'm just here to say, like, I mean, like, you would kind of tiptoe around him.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, let's do your father. Okay, let's do your father. I just got birth year of your dad.
It would have been 1971.
And the month.
August.
And the day.
7th.
7th.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's no doubt in my mind that you did the same with your dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like, don't you love that? Like, and so, like, listen. Like, I love my father. Like, we lost my dad. Like, now it's, I don't know, 2 years?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years this October.
Two
or September.
years in September. And, like, I love my dad. But at the same time, I didn't want a man. I remember saying, I'm never, ever going to have a marriage like this ever in my life, right? And so then I realized that I was actually dating men that had the very same energy as my father. You know, like, I love my father, but, like, he just, you know, like, I mean, I just didn't have that emotional connection. Like, when he was dying, both my sisters said, like, oh, we could cry and talk to him. And it's like, I just didn't have that. Like, I just didn't.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's no doubt in my mind that you would draw this person to you, because just like your father, he didn't know how to deal with his emotions. So then what you would do is you would enable him by tiptoeing around him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I still do.
Yeah, and like, all I'm saying is like, I don't want to do that anymore. You know, I'm just tired of it, because I mean, it's like, it's where you just give a version of who you are, okay? And so this would be a really, really restorative year. Like, so your ex taught you what you need from what he didn't give you, okay? And so, are you dating anyone now?
I am, yeah.
Okay, lay the number on me, baby.
Well, his name's Joey.
Okay.
And his birth year is 1993, February 9th.
Okay. Do you want to know something that's really neat? I mean, I can see how you two, like, I can see how you two would really connect, because you share the same energy. I mean, and that there's no doubt he's an old soul. So even though he was born in 1993, he has an old soul about him. And so, like, I mean, and there's no doubt in my mind, and you share the same energy. Like, it's funny, because I plan on doing, like, a singles night. Now that we're shut down for 6 weeks, you know, I'm going to come on every day, you know, for 6 weeks. No, I'm just kidding. But it's one of those things that you just, like, there's a connection with you that is so old. And, like, both Lloyd and I are both 9s. Although we're very different, we just resonate in the same energy. Like, him and I are just like this, right? So I mean, just so you know, there's a good connection. I mean, I like the fact that you're both in the same energy. Hang on.
Yeah.
And you want to know something? This is what's really neat, is like, he definitely is trying to liberate himself from something, and you're in a very restorative year. So in some ways, I just don't want you to do all the work. Like, I don't want, if he needs to grow, you let him grow, because you understand that you're kind of ahead of him, like, in terms of energetic and spiritual growth. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And do you see how you don't want to be the one that kind of mothers him, because sooner or later then it'll feel like he's dating his mother, and then that gets weird, and then forget it, right? So I mean, I want you just to allow him to do his own growth, and I want you just to let him sort of find his way. Like, and there's no doubt that a lot of what goes on with him is connected with his father.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm going to do your 5 imprint cards. How's it going, Lloyd? What are you doing over there?
Oh, I'm just texting away like a fiend.
Lloyd's texting away like a fiend. Okay. Let me see. Let's see what your imprint cards are. Hang on. Okay. First card. This definitely is a scream. So this lets me know that as a result that you would have like this I don't know if you want to call it resentment or this anger, because often when you tiptoe, when you're this highly intuitive person and you have the ability to scan and read other people's energy, and you're very sensitive to their suffering, especially if you love them, so you alter the way that you are. So what you do is you absorb your emotion, and sooner or later it just leads to frustration, and it leads to some sort of resentment or like a scream. You know what I mean? Like it's like this frustration. And so that's what I want you to think about. It's like, you know, when we go into a different relationship, it's like, because you understand when you came away from your ex, that breaking away was very difficult, right? You know, it's like very, very difficult, and it had a huge impact. And so once you come away from something like that, you don't want to just forget everything you learned in a new relationship. So that's why in this relationship, I want you to stop just absorbing what's going on, and I want you to be more honest and just saying what's wrong. Like, is there something going on with you? You need to communicate it, right? And so that's and so no doubt you came into this life with a bit of a scream. And so it'd be just frustration where you just absorb your own emotion. Let's do another card for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, oops, hang on, it just... And so this is the energy of the king. So this lets me know, no doubt in my mind, that your father definitely would have a huge impact. Male relationships would have a huge impact. It's like being able to see that, right? Or even the power of that male energy around you. So if you look at your father and you look at the impact he had in your life, and all of that, it just is, there's no doubt in my mind that you've come to this life already pretty sensitive to that type of thing. So just so you know, it also can represent that in a past life, in fact, you were in the body of someone, and it could be male, where you were quite powerful, where you had a lot of power, where you just felt comfortable making decisions on behalf of other people. And so that's often why you will draw people to you, or men to you, that need your help. Like, do you know what I mean? Because you are more comfortable being able to fix somebody than, you know, because it's what you know. So that's why I'm saying, like, you just need to let him do his own work. You know what I mean? So for sure. But it's interesting, like, and no doubt you'd be very good at, very organized, an old soul, like you're very responsible. And so that's part of the reason that you would draw someone to you, where you are the one that sort of is directing what's going on in the relationship, in a sense. The next one, this lets me know, like, this is a knife. And so this is also about betrayal, resentment, injury. If you look at your ex, or you look at some of the injury from your past, there may be some wounds there. And so, like, there's no doubt in my mind, it's being able to see that, right? And if we've been wounded by, you know, an ex or our father or whatever, and there isn't that room for communication, then we just, you know, we just feel we have issues with trust and intimacy. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
Let me see. See this? I don't know. I got a weird feeling that your ex still has a bit of a hook in you. Do you know what I mean? Like, where you feel responsible.
In ways, absolutely. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like, there's no doubt in my mind, like, and this is one thing I want you to really check, because there's no doubt in my mind, you're the sweetest person on the planet. Like, I guarantee you. But there's no doubt that people know how to push your buttons and manipulate you to get you to do something that you may or may not want to do.
Yeah.
And so
I think I'm too nice sometimes.
yeah, and so as a result of that, it's like they know how to get you on the hook, you know, like they know how to make you feel responsible. And so, like, this is old. This is something that you came into this life with. And so I want you just to be aware of that, right? Just to be aware of, you know, like, who has the ability to kind of manipulate me. And then when they do manipulate, there's no doubt in my mind that that definitely would have an impact on you, right? Because you cannot trust a person emotionally if they are willing to manipulate you instead of just honoring their own truth and being able to speak about that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Okay,
Absolutely.
let's do your last card. It's very, very cool. Like it just is very cool. So this lets me know that you definitely walked with the suffering in a past life. So that you were contracted to absorb it. So just so you know, the reason that you do it, it's not because you're weak. It's not because of any of those things. It's because in a past life you were contracted to absorb the suffering of other people. You were contracted to walk with the suffering. You were contracted to be a witness to the suffering, and there were times where you literally would absorb it. And so when you would absorb their heartbreak or whatever, then what happens is I mean, that's what you do in this lifetime. So in other words, I want you just to be aware of the red flags. Like, do you live with this new partner?
I do, yes.
Okay. And so it's like just being really aware. Like, I just don't want you to, I don't want you to suffer the way that you did coming out of the last relationship and not honoring all of that. And so you might as well just bring all of you forward, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Does it? Like, don't you think that those are cool cards for you?
Yeah, it all resonates very, very much.
Like, it's so neat. Like, and that's what I love about imprints and past life and all that. It's like, I can remember thinking, like, why? Like, why am I doing this? Like, I know my mind knows that I should not be doing this, but I cannot help myself. And that's when I understood the power of contracts, spiritual contracts. That's when I understand the power of like literally bringing forward an imprint, and that I couldn't even help myself because it was unresolved from a past life.
Yeah. And now that I'm aware of that, then I can focus on that and try to heal.
Yeah, and it's really neat. Like, just catch yourself. Like, it's one of those things, and even looking, like, I'm gonna see if you have a contract with your dad. Let me see. In 1992, let's see. See that? I guarantee. Like, think about your dad's history. What is your dad's history?
In what sense?
Like, where did he come from? Like, what was his history?
He's a very strong Christian.
Okay.
When I think of my dad, that's what I think of.
Okay.
So I was brought up that way, and I think my beliefs have changed a lot since then, but his hasn't, of course, and that's what I struggle with most of the time.
Yeah, and like, just so you know, you are so sensitive that he could give you a look and keep you in a state of shame because of his moral beliefs, his moral judgments. And in other words, like, I mean, and so you would take that on. And because in 1992, your father was in a 9-year, which means that there is no doubt in my mind that is what you were more like, and because you're so sensitive, you could just look at him and know whether or not what you were doing was acceptable to him. And that's why you withhold things from your dad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so do you see how, because of that, because of your fear of being judged by him, as a result of that, what happens is that's what you do with your partner.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to, I've done nothing wrong. And so it's really being able to see that, and so that's why I want you to just be aware of the sensitivity. And then what happens, I mean, at the end of the day, we just want to be loved by our mothers. We want to be loved by our fathers. And if there's that judgment or that look of shame or whatever, we'll just stop whatever we're doing because we so want to please them. And all I'm saying is, sooner, like this would be a really good year for you to say, forget that. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Gonna walk my own path.
but see, you want to know something that's really, really interesting. I have to tell you, Heather, in my deck, in this deck that I've created, there is cards in the deck that speak about the church and conformists, like the child of God that is influenced by the judgment or the beliefs of the mother, or the conformist that is kind of conformed by shame. And that's not what you got. What you got was the hook, you got the resentment, you got absorption, you got this betrayal, and then you got the father. Like, don't you think that's neat? It's so neat. And so just so you know, you get to renegotiate. You get to renegotiate the contract and say, no matter, I'm not doing anything wrong. And so your look has nothing to do with me. Your look has to do with something that is going on inside of you that you're not at peace with. Because this is what I learned from my daughter. Do you want to know what I learned from my daughter? I do not own her. She has the absolute right to do whatever she needs to do in her life. And if I honor that, then I will accept no matter what it is. You know, like I'll just trust in her judgment. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. I hope that my dad and I have that relationship someday.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like just really interesting. Like with you, like you're so intuitive. You just get a look, and it will it just changes you. And so our fathers teach us how male love feels. So I want you just to be aware of that, okay? And I want to thank you for texting. And did you like your reading?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Everything you said was on point, so
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and this is a really, really restorative year. I don't want you to be a version of yourself. You're beautiful, you're smart, you're interesting, you have a lot to offer, you're kind, you're all of these things. But I want you to be more who you are, because you might as well. You know, like, I mean, like, I remember when I was dating, when I first went back out there dating, I thought, no, I'm not going to be that girl going, oh yeah, you know, I love football. It's like, no, I don't like watching football. No, I don't. And I don't like eating sushi. Like, I don't, you know. And so it's, instead of being this kind of wrapped up, tidy version of what I think you wanted me to be. And in my relationship with Lloyd, and we've been together, we're going on 9 years, I've never been more myself in my life than with this male. And I'm so, so grateful. I'm so grateful. Yeah.
That's how I feel with my new spouse.
Good.
Absolutely.
Well, I celebrate that for you, love. And so it'd be interesting for you to see those imprints and see how that resonates, and being able to come to peace with it and being able to let it go.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, love. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lindsay.
Bye, love. Okay, Babs, am I done?
I think you are done.
I did pretty good, other than our dog huffing and puffing. So anyways, kids, so thank you so much. The imprints are just something for you to be able to consider. And it's just very interesting over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be coming back on. I never know when. I kind of get in the mood and then just say, I'm going to go on and do some intuitive reads. So anyways, other than that, yeah.
But we'll be on again next Tuesday night as our usual Tuesday night,
Yes,
right?
we will be here next Tuesday evening. So yeah, so it's all good. So thank you.
Just as a reminder to everybody, because of the announcements that were made today by the Premier, the store will be closed. We cannot do curbside deliveries right now. So over the next few weeks, we'll be keeping you apprised of everything that's going to be going on.
Yeah. And anyways, I hope you guys are all doing well. Stay safe. Enjoy. I mean,
Have
all I
fun.
know is I got like a great big list of things that we want to do, and that I want to do. Around the
I
house.
got a daddy do
Let's
list.
say, Daddy, get it done. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.